What is mobility, stretching, and strength training? What does that really mean? I'm just going to give you a sort of a cursory review. When we think of mobility, we think of range of motion, and there's three key areas for triathletes that almost across the board everyone needs work on. And that's your shoulder, that whole shoulder complex, and I'll come back to this, the middle of your back, which is your thoracic spine, and your hips. Those are the big three, and quite often just the nature of the sport where everything is moving forward in the sagittal plane, it gets tighter, tighter, shortened, shortened. So when I reach up over my head, when I put my arm in the water in freestyle, and all of a sudden I feel some impingement, I feel restriction, my natural range of motion, and I could put a can of beans up on the shelf. All of a sudden I can't do that. I got to get the stool. Well, we want to garner that range of motion, regain what you might have had before you went through puberty, and get back to where you are highly mobile in those three particular areas. When we look at flexibility, what is flexibility? Flexibility combines all the moving tissues. So we can look at muscles, they actually have elasticity. We can look at the connective tissue, and this also is affected by mobility as well. And we can look at the tendons. The tendons are attached muscle to bone. They all have range of motion. They all increase their elasticity. And combined with mobility, if we can get those muscles to be more supple, you're going to find that you're not working against your own musculature. And I see this all the time. Take, for example, a runner that's really fighting. It almost looks like they've been shot in the back. Their face is grimacing. They got sweat running down. I always say, just relax your neck. Every blood vessel is coming out. Relax your shoulders. Be supple. But part of it is that they just don't have the flexibility to do that. Strength comes third. And a lot of men, particularly men, want to do the strength training right off the bat. They like to have biceps. They like to look good without their shirts on or their skimpy little triathlon clothes. It doesn't work that way. You have to have the range of motion, because if I'm real tight in my hip flexors, for example, I can't fire my glutes. And there's nothing worse than a buttery set of gluteal muscles that are dysfunctional. And this is real common. I see this with guys, big quads, fantastic, and disintegrating glutes on the backside. So strength is really, really key, because it's also going to get you back to your lean body weight. And there's a term called skinny fat. And I see this a lot with endurance athletes. They're real thin. They say, my high school weight is, I'm right back to where my high school weight. And I said, you know what? You lost a lot of muscle mass. So keeping that muscle mass or regaining that muscle mass is key. And you can regain this through all decades, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. There are great science studies on this. You can get that back, maintain your lean body weight, and you'll be more efficient and more functional. Strength training also increases fat oxidation, so those two go hand in hand. So we limit the muscle loss, which is called sarcopenia. We increase burning of free fatty acids, so your whole body is going to respond to this. And lastly, you're going to start innervating these fast twitch 2A muscle fibers. Why are they important? Because those help the triathlete perform at a higher level. You just can't do long, slow distance training with a wilting body that's lost strength, lost lean muscle mass, and think you're going to get better by just going out and saying, I'm going to ride another hour today. You've got to do the strength training, but mobility, stretching, and strength training go hand in hand.